Hello, uh, hello everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to episode 14 of the Asian Football Show. Today we're going to be reviewing the Matchday 3 of the AFC Asian Cup, as well as previewing the round of 16 games, which have just been confirmed. Today I'm not joined by Arya. I'm joined by someone else, a good follower of Asian football and a Saudi football fan. I'm joined by Abdullah here. How are you doing, Abdullah?
I am doing great, Arfan. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Can you just tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. So, my name's Abdullah. I'm 23. I'm an Anglo-Saudi sort of football fan. I've been following Asian football my whole life. Um, yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm calling in just today from London, but usually I live in Bahrain. And yeah, it's sort of been a lifelong passion for me, football.
Yeah, that's very nice. Okay, so we'll just start off immediately with the Group A games that took place.
Sure.
Qatar took on China, and it was not much action. A few changes for Qatar we saw, but that Hassan Al Haidous goal. Can we just talk about that for a minute?
Sure. I did not see that coming from like just a ghost of a player like him, just pissing dust at his age.
Yeah, but it was a minute after coming on, both him and Afif, I think.
Yeah.
Just an amazing cross and a ridiculous finish. That has to be the goal of the tournament. What do you think?
Absolutely. It's a real captain finish. So I feel like
the skipper just nothing the goalie could do there. That was the only goal that Chile conceded in the Asian Cup as well. So you have to feel for them. If they do that, they would have gone through, but unlucky for them. I mean, that's what you get for not scoring a goal in 3 games.
Well, I mean, their entire performance, I think, at this tournament just basically hinged on how Wule did, and he didn't deliver. So,
yes, he had some good chances against Lebanon. I remember he missed. He should have scored those.
Yeah.
So they paid for not scoring, you could say. And Qatar, perfect start, not conceding a single goal. They've been looking really good. This Asian Cup. The other game, though, in Group A was Tajikistan versus Lebanon.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was actually the one of the two I watched all the way through. That was an excellent game.
It was an amazing game, Lebanon actually took the lead, but they went down to 10 men, right? Yeah, it was a really nice goal. What a finish.
Red card completely changed the face of the game. Lebanon looked a lot better in the first half, but just kind of regressed. I think you can really see when Tajikistan play, just that they very clear. I mean, it's their first tournament. They have nothing to lose. I just love their manager. Just the vibes around Tajikistan.
Just awesome. Their manager. What was his name? Something. I cannot pronounce his name. I'll just call him by his first name, Peter.
Sure.
Peter, his vibe is just amazing. We even saw in the pre-match press conference today, he was just shaking everyone's hand. He was just happy to be there. And it's nice to see these things in the Asian Cup.
Absolutely.
I think Tajikistan are a team that no one can hate, to be honest.
Yeah. I think it's really part of the identity of the Asian Cup, just in the sense where you get these teams like Tajikistan, who they've never been in the tournament, and they don't even need to go all that far to make their mark. And, just even to see how much it means to the players and how much it means to Tajikistan generally, because I think that's really the amazing thing about international football, is that when these goals go in, it's like it lifts an entire nation,
Yeah, definitely.
So
we could see their support as well. It was really nice.
Absolutely. I didn't expect there'd be so many fans from there. But
Tajiki fans, they proved a lot of us wrong.
Yeah, they looked really excellent.
Yeah, so Group A ended with Qatar finishing first, Tajikistan second, and China and Lebanon head home. Lebanon were so disappointing, by the way, this tournament. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like, it goes without saying that just the last maybe 5 years or so have been really tough on their league, and just Lebanon more widely.
When they got into the
talent.
When they got into the third round of the Asian qualifiers last time out, we thought, maybe this is a point where maybe they can get back into form and maybe build onto something. But no, it's just doesn't seem like it. Okay, so moving on to Group B, Australia versus Uzbekistan. This was a really nice game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I feel like Uzbekistan were very unlucky to concede that penalty, though. I mean, it was clearly a
Wow,
penalty,
that was
but it was
I don't know,
just
man.
razor
The
thin.
rules the rules mention that if the hand is on the ground, it's not a penalty, and there was barely any contact. It didn't change where the ball was going at all. I don't know. It's not a penalty for me.
Yeah, I see. I absolutely. I on the as far as while I was watching the game, I definitely agree with you. I think they got really unlucky there. Their defense is really impressive, though, Uzbekistan. I mean, throughout their games, but especially in this one, I mean, there's nothing Australia could do.
Yeah, some really good games by them. Um, Uzbek defense at the Asian Cup, only
Yeah,
conceding one goal, being that very dodgy penalty.
exactly.
Their defender Ashmuratov has been really good.
Oh yeah,
And then yeah, they got their goal though.
yeah,
Nice header. It was from a free kick, I think, and
yeah.
they got what they
Ronaldo's best
deserved.
friend, Masharipov, took that free kick.
Masharipov, yeah, I remember. I remember his story with Ronaldo when he first joined Al Nassr. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways, it was a good game by Uzbekistan.
absolutely.
Australia a bit less, but 1-1 I think is a fair result for this game. The
Yeah.
other game was Syria against India. Well, I'll let you speak on this first.
Sure. Sorry, I just wanted to say quickly about Australia.
Yeah.
I'm just not convinced by them. I'm more or less certain. I think that the first kind of serious team that they run into is just going to shred them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like the days of Tim Cahill and Mark Viduka and these guys are just well behind them. They don't have the quality they once had.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Jackson Irvine
yeah,
is a
I
positive for
think
them though. He
they've
saved them twice.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. He's I think he's an excellent player, but
Other than that, it's not
I
looking
still
good.
can't help but look at him and feel like 15 years ago he would have been firmly planted on the bench for Australia. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, on
And yeah,
to the next
Syria,
game.
India.
Yeah, I didn't catch much of it aside from the highlights, but I mean, Syria just kind of did Syria things from what I caught of it.
Yeah, it was that they had their attacks, and
Yeah,
then it was just like it was written. Omar Kharbin coming on, the captain, the experienced
yeah,
strikers, scored the goal that got them through. Very emotional for them. It was their first time that they qualified for the knockouts. That actually
yeah,
shocked me. I didn't know it was their first time. I thought they would have maybe had an appearance before. But yeah,
yeah. Me neither.
good game by them. But the other team though, India,
Yeah.
they're the only team who finished the Asian Cup without a single point and a single goal.
Oh boy.
And you could say it was a hard group, but I mean, in 3 games to not score a single goal, that just shows that they're falling behind up to the Asian standards, and raises the question: will they even qualify for the next Asian Cup? I know that there were people hoping that they'll qualify for the World Cup in maybe 10, 15 years, but it's just not looking possible at all. What do you
We're a
think?
long way off. I mean, I think if you look at how sort of sport funding is structured in India, and I mean, just even beyond that, I think just the fact that football isn't their main sport, and that sort of a majority of the sort of prime athletic talent goes into cricket. So I feel like someone like Virat Kohli, if he was born in any other country, probably would have been a footballer, if you know what I mean. Just in the sense of their sort of best athletes tend to go play sports other than just football.
Yeah, hockey, cricket.
Precisely, and yeah, I just think it'll continue to hold them back. I mean, there's just Goa really, which is actually there is literally only just Goa where football is the major sport. It's growing in India. I feel like on
It's
paper there's a lot
growing,
of
yeah, it's
potential there,
growing, but
but
the management
precisely
is the
the FA
problem. Yeah,
hold them back, and that I find unfortunately is kind of the crux of Asian football. That a lot you'll find countries where they've got a really excellent talent pool, committed fans, but just the organization isn't there, and it hurts them deeply.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's it for Group B. Australia finished off with 7 points. Uzbekistan with 5 points at second, and Syria went through with 4 points. India with nothing, like we mentioned. Group C. Let's talk about Hong Kong against Palestine first.
Yeah.
Palestine. absolutely destroyed Hong Kong. A deserved win. What a performance by Ole Dabak. You know,
Yeah,
he didn't impress in the first two games, but he really showed up here, did he?
massively. Do you know the name of number 7 again for Palestine? I should have looked this up. Sorry.
Number seven, was it the one who scored against Iran? The,
He was I don't think I caught that game. He was the one. If you saw Palestine against Hong Kong, he was killing them on the wings. Like the first two, he set them up with his crosses.
no, I was watching the Iran game, so I couldn't catch
Okay.
that game,
Okay.
unfortunately.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, Hong Kong just had no answers for sort of Palestine in the wide areas. That being said, I mean,
Musab
I'll
Al
be honest with
Batat,
you.
you mean the right
Yeah,
back?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Al
yep.
he was
Yeah, he
excellent.
got into my team of the group stage. Yeah, I remember him.
What was I gonna say? I mean, yeah, just despite the fact that they lost every game, frankly, I'd never seen Hong Kong before this tournament. They looked a lot better than I thought they would. Their keeper, again, for as many as he conceded, actually looked pretty good.
Yeah,
He
yeah, I think
stuffed a
his name
couple of
is.
one-on-ones. Yeah, very, very pleasant, like pleasantly surprised and good. I mean, I know at the end of the day, they're State Department FC, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's good to see the standard of Asian football just kind of across the board going up and up.
yeah, and Hong Kong, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they came into the tournament as the lowest ranked side. So
Oh,
they,
I'd be surprised if they weren't.
yeah, they put up a good performance against the UAE. They got a goal. They put up a brilliant performance against Iran. That game actually
Yeah,
scared the living the living hell out of me. So
yeah,
I think this
that
tournament
was
is
a
a
rough game.
success for them. Yeah, I think it's a success for them. Even though they went out without a point, still, the
Yeah,
performance they showed and everything else just really good for them. The other game we'll talk about is Iran versus UAE. Did
yeah,
you watch this game, Abdullah?
I did not.
Okay, so I'll talk
Oh,
about this game.
sure.
It was all Iran, to be honest, the whole game. Just them attacking. Taremi with two really nice finishes from two Azmoun assists. The duo just linking up, very dangerous duo. UAE got a penalty in the second half, and they could have tied it up, but Yahya Al Ghassani missed the penalty.
Oh boy.
Bayramand actually saved it. But the scoreline, I think, doesn't represent the game at all. Iran scored 3 goals that were ruled out by VAR. One of them completely just I don't know how it got ruled out. It was
Yeah.
something completely natural done by Mohibbi, I think it was, and it was given as a foul. One of the Qolizada goals was his knee was offside. I think just a small part of his knee was offside, so it was not given.
No.
Yeah, it was such a nice goal as well. It was so unlucky. But yeah, the scoreline doesn't represent the game in my opinion. Iran were much better, and UAE only got that late goal to kind of make it look like it was close.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add on?
I think just the gap in quality between the UAE and between Iran. Where Iran, I feel like there's at least as far as their forwards go. I mean, aside from really Korea, there's not another team in Asia that have anywhere near as good a forward line as Iran. Do you know what I mean? They've got very solid
Mhm.
players across the board. Kind of from what we've seen, seems like their sort of team spirit's very high in the camp. But yeah, just the UAE look dead. I feel like it's such a shame for kind of where they were a decade ago, and they were like Umar Abdurrahman was firing on all
Oh,
cylinders.
Amouri, man. Just
Don't,
thinking of
don't
that
get me
that game
started.
against Iran in 2015 Asian Cup, I remember he destroyed our defense. He was so unlucky to not score against us.
It's unbelievable.
What a
I
player,
don't
man.
know if you caught that game, but back in the day, I think it was maybe 2012. Yes,
Okay, I was way
2012.
too small.
It was in Bahrain. It was the well, go back on YouTube and watch the highlights. I have such strong memories of being in my uncle's majlis and watching this game like with my uncles and my dad. And Umar Abdurrahman, they won 3-2 against Iraq in the final, and Umar Abdurrahman carried them in a way you wouldn't believe. Like, frankly, it's the best performance I've ever seen by a Khaliji player.
Wow.
Doesn't come close.
Yeah, it just shows the quality that the UAE can have. And, it's weird that Ali Mabhoud hasn't played a single minute all tournament. I don't know what's going on. Their first 2 games, he was on the bench at least, but in these games, he's not even on the squad. So I don't know what's going on there. As an experienced player, you'd expect him to be his first name on the list, and as their captain and all-time goal scorer.
and just best player by a long way as well. At the end of the day, sort of through history. I mean, I can't imagine his injury if he made the bench and then got dropped. They're being very evasive from what I've seen about exactly what's happened. Who knows? I mean, yeah, I have a feeling there's more to it, and we're probably not going to find out.
Something outside of the field.
I'm almost certain that's what it'll be, and we're going to find out, I think, once UAE get knocked out.
Yeah. Okay, so Iran finished top, 9 points, 3 out of 3 wins. UAE and Palestine both qualified with 4 points. Group D, the group of shocks, you could say. So Japan won against Indonesia 3-1. And it was a really nice game by Indonesia, to be honest. They scored against Japan. That's not an easy thing to do. Even though the defense has looked shaky, but still, no one expected Indonesia to even put up a fight in this group. I predicted them to finish last, and they proved me wrong, to be honest. So let's talk about Japan first. They won the game 3-1, but where did they look convincing?
I'm really not convinced by Japan. I think, and we'll get into this a little bit later, I think kind of the first team that they run into, not even in the same way that with Australia, where I feel like the first time they run into an Iran or they run into a Saudi or a Korea, that they're going to be in trouble. I think it could be as soon as the Bahrain game that they that they falter just with I mean, there's been periods of some of these games where it almost looks like they've never played together. I think as much as Zion Suzuki is an excellent prospect, it's just having a goalkeeper of his age starting at an international tournament is going to cause trouble. Unless, I mean, as I say, he's excellent, but unless you're like a sort of Donnarumma level prospect, just being that age and playing in goal at a major tournament is going to be difficult. They've also played some tough teams with some good, like, I mean, Iraq, an excellent team. I'm not convinced, but at the end of the day, I think just the sheer quality that they've got on the pitch will be able to win them games, and it has won them games. I mean, I feel like Indonesia, as you say, they are another team like Hong Kong, where as much as they may not, they did qualify. Pardon me, but I mean, just as much as they, maybe
they didn't have anything to lose
every game. Yeah, precisely. I think they looked really good. Marcelino really, really impressed me out of their team.
He scored against Iraq, didn't he? I remember his goal. Yeah, he's a good player.
I feel like it was definitely the best of Japan's games against Indonesia. I think they were behind for a lot of the game against Vietnam, and then they lost to Iraq. I feel like Japan, you're not really going to know what they're going to do until the game starts. They might completely.
Maybe they're saving it till the knockouts. We never know.
Yeah, could be that too. Has Tomiyasu played at all? I feel like I haven't seen him.
I think he was in the squad for the last game. I'm not sure, actually. I didn't watch their game. I was watching the Iraq game, so I'm not sure at all. Yeah, so moving on to the Iraq game, actually.
Yeah.
Iraq won 3-2 against Vietnam. It was a nice game. Iraq had already guaranteed top spots, and Vietnam were already eliminated. So this game was kind of pointless, you could say, but Vietnam still showed up a great fight. They were leading until
the end of the game was just nuts. I caught the end of the game, actually. I caught the last 20 minutes. Ayman Hussein, unbelievable.
Yeah, even though he missed a penalty, but still.
Yeah. He's what is he averaging?
5 goals.
I think he's averaging something like a goal every 25 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, something like a goal every half an hour. It's crazy.
It's just unbelievable. I think as much as Iraq, what makes them a good team is, I feel like, the fact that as much as maybe they don't have like a global superstar the way like a Korea would, they've got just 11 solid players. They've got a really, really, really intelligent manager in Jesus Casas. And yeah, I think just from sort of 1 to 23 in their squad, they've got good players, but their defending can be really haphazard at times. I feel like there's been games they've
we
nearly
saw in the
thrown
Vietnam
away.
game. Yeah, we
Yeah.
saw it. It's a liability. But their attack with Ali Jassim and Ayman Hussein kind of makes up for it, the Air Force club duo. But yeah, they have to
Plus,
be
I
much
mean, we
more
haven't seen a
careful.
whole lot of them, but Ali Hamadi is a very good player as well.
Yeah. He plays in the fourth year of England, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he plays for Wimbledon.
Yes, Wimbledon. So yeah, that's it for Group D. Iraq finished with a perfect record. Japan advanced with 6 points. That's still weird to say, still weird seeing Japan finish second. And Indonesia with 3 points. Vietnam leave with nothing. Group E, I'll let you talk more about this group because Bahrain are in this group, and obviously. So let's talk about the Bahrain game first. Bahrain beat Jordan 1-0 to top the group.
Yeah. The game, like, I think both of them looked really passive, but Jordan especially so. It was just really obvious that everyone was trying their hardest to avoid Japan. Yeah, I mean, Jordan didn't do a lot with the ball.
It's kind of disappointing, isn't it?
Massively.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very tempted at times to just kind of turn it off, especially after Bahrain went up, just purely because, yeah, I mean, Jordan, they'd get the ball and they'd pass it around.
Yeah, they didn't want to score. It was like they were trying not to score.
Not at all. And I mean, Bahrain, I feel like were a bit passive, but they clearly wanted it more. Yusuf Halal looked exceptional.
What a finish. That was an amazing finish.
Yeah. Bahrain are a completely different team with him playing. I mean, I don't know how much you know about the Bahraini league. It's not fantastic.
I know some of the teams. I know Al Rifa, East Rifa. Some of the teams I do know of. I do know of some of the Bahraini players also. Ali Madan, he plays here in the UAE league. In Ajman, he plays in Ajman. He's a good player.
Ajman, sorry.
Yeah, and he scored against Malaysia. That amazing finish. I mean, I don't know how that sneaked through, but he's a good player. And also Hashash, I remember he scored against South Korea. So yeah, there is the quality there, and they did top the group.
Ahmed Marhoun, also a very excellent player, number 8 for Bahrain. He
plays Marhoun. Marhoun. I remember him also.
In Kuwait, he's. But see, the thing is, aside from those three, virtually everyone else on that squad is going to have a day job. It's a very, very different kind of caliber of player to the very top teams in Asia. And I think for me, as someone who was at least raised in Bahrain, something I feel like we can be really proud of just for being such a small country with, relatively speaking, limited means and being able to play against much bigger countries with a much more established sort of footballing history. I think as good as Bahrain looked at times, there's just not a whole lot to write home about as far as this game goes.
I mean, topping this group, it's an achievement, of course, but you're facing Japan, so I'd say teams would have tried to avoid it as much as possible. Also, I forgot to mention Said Jaffer. He's still in the Bahrain squad, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, but he isn't. He's definitely
he's just there. He's just there as an experienced guy.
Yeah.
Very old guy.
He hasn't started from Harrag for a good 2 years, maybe. Harrag's my team in Bahrain.
Wow. Yeah, I know them. It's an area in Bahrain as well, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's where the airport is. It's the northernmost major island of Bahrain.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just sorry, keep going.
Yeah, so the other game was South Korea against Malaysia. One of the games of the tournament so far. Yeah, I mean, there are rumors, and you could see why the rumors were there that Korea were just they didn't want to win this game. Klinsmann was not really happy after they were leading, but he was smiling after Malaysia scored. I don't know, it was really weird.
Yeah.
But overall, what a fight by Malaysia.
Massively. I think they deserve a lot of respect. And I mean, just it's been a consistent theme across this tournament. I feel like anyone can give anybody a game on their day. And Malaysia really showed that. By staying in the game against a really, really tough team where, I mean, as much as there's a massive gap in quality. I think with Klinsmann, Korea's defense has looked just atrocious at times. That first goal was a comedy of errors.
Oh yeah, it was a good finish to be fair by Mohamed
Oh,
Faisal.
it was an excellent finish, but
Yeah.
they had maybe three good chances to where they probably should have got that ball at least out of the penalty area, if not completely cleared. And they just didn't. I mean, Klinsmann, he's a new age charlatan. He went to California and learned some nonsense. And
yeah, I've seen no one really likes him at all. He's
not
a very
at all.
hated
I mean,
guy.
it's funny you mention this. I went to Korea in September, and I went to see FC Seoul against Gwangju. And as soon as he came up on the, because he was at the game and they showed him on the big screen, and as soon as he came up, the entire crowd started booing.
Wow, that just shows, doesn't
They
it?
don't like him at all. Because I feel like on top of just the issues with Klinsmann, domestically, there's a lot of pressure for them not to waste Heung-min Son's prime. And I think just that atmosphere within the camp, on top of what Klinsmann creates, I can't imagine the players even like him all that much. I mean, they had a big, I'm pretty sure it was, when they played Saudi, was that his first international break?
It was not his first. He was definitely in charge before.
Okay.
I remember. Yeah.
So, but definitely what I remember is because they played Saudi in Newcastle.
Yeah,
and
they won that game, right?
They did. Saudi looked
That
really
was their
poor.
first game. That was the first win under Klinsmann, I think.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah.
But he caused a lot of controversy in Korea because despite the fact that Newcastle is probably 4 or 5 hours on a bus or 3 hours on a train.
He went for the charity game, didn't he, to attend another game? I remember that.
And,
yeah.
And so as a consequence of that, he forced the Korean national team to do their camp in London, which is literally the other end of England from Newcastle. And I think it comes across as him having a massive ego, somehow having a massive ego, taking himself too seriously, but not taking the job seriously enough.
Yeah. So yeah, South Korea drew 3-3 against Malaysia. I want to mention Lee Kang-in. He's been the main man. Some people would have thought maybe it would have been Son, but no. Son only scored 2 penalties. Lee Kang-in with a brilliant free kick. So yeah, Bahrain finished off the group, 6 points. South Korea with 5 points, finishing in second. Jordan with 4 points, also advancing, and Malaysia getting a point to leave Qatar with. The final group is Group F. This was the Saudi-Thailand game we'll talk about first. It was very boring, to be honest.
Oh, it was terrible.
It was hell, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're telling me.
I was watching that game for the first half, and then I told myself, "What am I doing? There's Oman, Kyrgyzstan. Something's on the line. I should probably switch to that game."
You could have watched paint dry. It would have been better for you, honestly.
Yeah, it was a very boring game.
Abdallah
not much to say. Abdullah, he missed the penalty. Yeah, he missed the penalty.
Not just did he miss a penalty, he tried to scissor kick the rebound, which I think speaks to how terrible of a game he had. He got hooked, I think maybe around the 70th minute. Mancini took him off, but he shouldn't have even made halftime. I think it was on the One Football app. They gave him a 2.3. He was that bad.
Oh my god, that's
no, seriously. I'm not being funny with you. It was probably the worst striker performance I've ever seen in a green shirt for Saudi Arabia. He just couldn't finish his dinner. And I think on top of starting Radif being a mistake, it's also really funny. Just I'll mention the word Radif in Arabic means reserve, substitute, which is quite funny.
Yeah, Radif. Even in Persian, it's something like that.
Okay. And so I think a big mistake that Mancini made was with the substitutions. He took off Radif at 0-0, and he brought on Talal Haji. Now Talal Haji, I'm very excited.
Was it his debut?
Yeah, it was. It was his senior debut, and yeah, I mean, I don't think it's fair on him to throw him into the deep end, basically to be like, look, we need a goal. You've got 25 minutes. But also Saleh al-Shehri was right there on the bench. Yeah, I think Mancini's substitutions have been a little poor. Aside from when he brought on Gharib against
he scored almost immediately against Oman.
Yeah, I was gonna say against Oman, when he brought him on, he changed the game.
Yeah.
That being said, I think as good as Abdurrahman Gharib is, and he's definitely one of our best players, at least in this tournament, I feel like there's been big portions of games where they've just tried to feed him. He's run up the sideline and just done nothing with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, look, generally we've looked really shaky. I think aside from the second half against Oman, where I think they kind of realized, if we don't get a result here, sorry, that's just an ambulance coming past. Like if we don't get a result here, then we're fucked. Pardon my French. And so they, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Saudi, a lot
not
like
as
Japan,
convincing.
Yeah, might just turn up against the big teams. I think
they have to in the next round. It's Korea, so.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We can get onto that one, but I feel like basically all of our forwards have had really poor shot selection. Salim's missed some sitters. I mean, Radif had the game he had. I'm trying to think as well. Gharib missed some bad chances in this game. I think we're really, really not out of the woods as far as potential issues within the squad. We saw before the tournament where 6 players who probably should have gone to the tournament didn't end up going. I mean, for reasons they caused, like in the case of Nawaf Hagidi, where he made a very silly mistake in going. In going to Mancini, a manager like Mancini, and demanding to start, when I think anyone and their mother could have seen that Nawaf Agidi was going to start, because Mayouf is retired, Awais is injured. He's the only other half-decent Saudi keeper left. Now we're stuck with Ahmed Al-Kassar, who's a reject from my Saudi team, L'Ittifaq. And yeah, I mean, I feel like if we have a really bad result against Korea, like if we lose, I don't think it's the end of the world. But I think if we lose by 3, 4, God forbid, even more, there might be a player mutiny. I think Mancini would definitely go after that. But I think we're just in a really delicate situation, and it could go either way.
Yeah. So the other game in Group F was the more exciting game. Was Oman against Kyrgyzstan. Al-Ghassani, not Yahya Al-Ghassani, but Mohsen Al-Ghassani, scored for Oman in the first 10 minutes after a scramble in the penalty box. In the 80th minute, after attacking for a long time, Joel Kojo, he was actually born in Ghana, but he was naturalized for Kyrgyzstan. He scored a goal that was celebrated more in Indonesia than in Kyrgyzstan itself.
He's got north of 200,000 followers.
Yeah, he had 10K followers before that. Yeah, he's gained a lot of popularity among the Indonesians. So I want to talk about Oman more here. Branco, their coach, was sacked. Not sacked. I don't know what happened there, but he's not their coach anymore. Yeah, and he should not be their coach anymore. It was an embarrassing tournament by them, except the Saudi game. The Saudi game was good, but after that, it was just embarrassing, and I don't know what's going on with them, man.
And I think also, just as far as the Saudi game goes, I think a good thing to keep in mind. So Branko Vankovic, he actually used to coach L'Ittifaq, my team, when I was like 10 or 11 maybe. So he's been in Khariji football for a long time. Like, I mean, they get good results against other teams in the Gulf. But yeah, as you say, overall, just really quite embarrassing tournament from Oman. From also, I mean, the amount of talk about Oman before the tournament, where there was a lot of Omanis and just a lot of, I feel like, Arabic language media generally that had them picked almost like how Turkey seemed to be the dark horses for every tournament, where almost whoever you asked, who's going to be a surprise package of the tournament, almost universally the answer was Oman. And unfortunately, they were surprised in the worst way possible.
Okay, so yeah, that's it for the group stages. a lot of excitement, lived up to the hype, to be honest, and a lot of
Absolutely.
surprises. Moving on now to the knockout stage. So we'll go through the games. And the first game is Australia against Indonesia. Now, obviously, Australia are the heavy favorites for this.
Yeah.
Indonesia, they're kind of happy to be where they reached already. You can never write any team off at this Asian Cup. We've learned that many times by now. But I think Australia should be winning this, even though they've been looking a bit shaky. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Australia's quality should carry them across the line. It should be a straightforward game, but also as I've mentioned before, they really haven't impressed me, and I think there's. I would be concerned. Of course, it's not like I know the players or anything, but I would be just concerned that looking at a team like Indonesia, they may not take it seriously enough, and that would end up harming them um, purely because they just wouldn't be expecting Indonesia to give them a game. Yeah, I think
Australia should
should be,
just,
yeah, it should be pretty straightforward. But if
yeah.
Indonesia can score early, then it could be it could be a long night for the Australians.
Yeah. So the next game is Tajikistan against the UAE.
Yep.
Now, going into this game, the UAE may seem as favorites, but we've seen the quality in Tajikistan. They have players like Sanpan Shambe and Safarov and all these players, and I think they can challenge the UAE for that spot, that quarterfinal spot. What do you think?
No doubt. I think, yeah, I think the UAE haven't looked massively impressive. The Ali Mabhout situation is strange to say the least, and I can't imagine that the rest of the team aren't picking up on that, especially seeing as I can't imagine any universe where he's not the kind of leader of the team.
Yeah, and
Just for
Sultan
how
Adil
long he's
also,
been
their
around.
other striker, the young striker, is injured and he won't play the game. So
Yeah,
I think it's going to be Ghassani again playing at the top, and it's not going to be too good for them.
not at all. I think even with the gap in quality, just Tajikistan, they have momentum. They finished the groups on a high note. They've got nothing to lose, and teams like that usually, especially when they play teams that look like they may be in trouble, like the UAE do just now. I think it's a real recipe for an upset. I'd say Tajikistan versus UAE is probably my biggest pick for an upset of any of these games.
Definitely. Tajikistan, like you said, they have the momentum. They're building onto it after that Lebanon game, and I wouldn't really be too shocked if they pull something up against the UAE.
Me neither.
Then next game, Iraq against Jordan. West Asian derby. What a game this is going to be. Both teams have shocked the two favorites, you could say. Iraq have beaten Japan. Jordan have drawn against Korea in a game where they
Yep.
really could have won.
They should have, really.
Yeah, they should have won, to be honest. And yeah, Iraq are looking really good. A lot of people betting on them to get to the final or even winning the whole thing again. Jordan, maybe less impressive towards the end against Bahrain, but we still saw their quality. They rested a lot of their players for that game, like Al Tamari, he was on the bench. I think this is going to be a really good game. What do you think?
I agree. I think it's going to be really excellent in the sense that they're two really well matched teams. I think Jordan, yeah, as you say, especially in the first two, they looked really good. They defend really well as a unit. Musa Ta'amari is a problem. When he's firing on all cylinders, he's been excellent for Montpellier. And I think as much as maybe if you directly compare team sheets, Iraq probably has more quality kind of pound for pound. But I think Jordan's kind of more stout defense may carry them over the line in the sense that not so much that Jordan will win it by defending well, more in the sense that Iraq will lose by conceding silly goals, as they kind of have.
Yeah.
And I think if their defense is really, not set up particularly well, or they make individual mistakes, Musa Tamari with his pace is just going to make mincemeat of them. He's going to have them for his dinner.
Yeah, and it's not just Tamari. We've seen Mahmoud Al Mardi. He was
Yeah,
very good
Mahmoud
against
Al-Mardi,
Malaysia. Yeah,
ex-Malik
and
player who scored for us in the AFC Cup final against
yeah,
Nasaf from Uzbekistan.
yeah. I remember that game. And Al Nemat
I
as
was
well. He
there.
plays in the Qatari. Oh, you were there.
Yeah, I was.
Oh,
Well,
damn.
it was played in Bahrain.
Yeah, it was in Bahrain, to be honest. Yeah, I remember. It was unfortunate that the team couldn't get an AFC Champions League license, or else I think they would have gotten into
Yeah,
the playoffs.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, Yazan Al Nemat also he plays in the Qatari league. Some good performances from him. So
Yeah,
Jordan are not a team to be underestimated, and I think either of these two teams, if they win, they have a good path or a good chance to reach at least the semifinals.
yeah,
The next game, Qatar, the hosts against Palestine. Palestine are kind of like um the fairy tale story of this tournament.
yeah,
With
absolutely.
what's going on, unfortunately, back
Yeah,
at home, the
yeah.
players maybe they're not focused completely on football right now, but
And
they've
how can you
still
blame them?
impressed a lot. Yeah, a lot of their players are Israeli. I think two or three of their players are Israeli originally, and like their players come from all over Palestine,
Yeah,
and they've all united to make their people happy, and that's just something really nice to me.
it's a really
Uh,
special.
yeah, unfortunately for them, I think this is probably going to be the end of the tournament against
Yeah,
Qatar. It's going to be a really hard game to beat the hosts, and
yeah,
especially Akram Afif and Al Muazzali. They've been looking so dangerous.
yeah. That's
But I
scary.
think,
So
yeah, to get their first win of the Asian Cup to qualify for the knockouts, I think that's more than enough for them. What do you think?
I think, like again, on paper, Qatar are a markedly better team. They've looked, efficient in their first three, but I also think that they really haven't faced any adversity yet. I mean, they had three. I mean, they more or less got the best draw they could have asked for. I think. I think
Mm,
out of any of the groups, and yeah, I think Palestine might be able to give them a hard time. I mean, also the thing is with a team like Palestine, as we saw with Iraq in 2007, as much as these things undoubtedly are deeply traumatic and it's a shame it's a shame that success can come at this cost, but it can be a galvanizer in a way that that can push them through just purely because of the horrors that are going on every day and every hour in Palestine at the moment. I think a lot of their success will depend on whether or not Ardei Dabagh can hook it up. As you said, first two games he was nowhere. Looked a lot better in the third. Um, but yeah, I think just Al Mu'azali, Akram Afif, they've been there. A lot of these, a lot of the Qatar team now, they were there in 2019 when they won against a lot of adversity. I mean, I'm sure you remember that UAE semi-final, how many shoes got
yeah.
thrown at them.
They shut down school early that day, so people go to Abu
Yeah,
Dhabi and attend the game. I still remember that, but it didn't really turn out well for them.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah, I completely agree with you there. Moving on to the next game, Uzbekistan against Thailand.
Yep.
Thailand, they've impressed me a lot. They didn't have the best of
Absolutely.
preparations. One of
Yeah.
their players who plays in the J League, I think it was, left the camp a few days before the tournament started. So, and they didn't really have the best of preparations. They only played Japan, and it was a heavy defeat against them also. But they won against Kyrgyzstan, who are a good side, and they got a draw against Saudi.
Yes.
So yeah, they've definitely surprised a lot of people, and they're playing Uzbekistan, who a lot of people before the tournament said would be their uh, underdogs, and I can see why
Yeah.
they've definitely been playing well. I think this is going to be a close game. What do you think, Abdullah?
I agree. I think it's a good pick for 0-0 at 90 minutes, if anything. Um, but yeah, as you said, I mean, with Thailand, they've really, I think, at least they've certainly surpassed my expectations in the sense where I feel like every time I've seen them play, I've just been waiting for them to implode, basically, and it just hasn't happened yet. Um, I think they looked really, really good against Saudi. They had some good chances. I couldn't tell you any of their names; they're too hard, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, I mean, their keeper had.
Their goalie, yeah, that was actually their second choice goalie, the one who plays
Oh
against
wow,
Saudi.
okay. I was
Yeah,
gonna say he had a really excellent game.
He saved the penalty, and they've actually
Yeah,
kept 3 clean sheets, I think. So no goals conceded. Amazing record for them.
I think it could be anybody's game, but I just think that the way Uzbekistan defend, better teams have struggled to break them down. I think that'll carry them through. But as I say, there's a real chance that you could end up there with, extra time or even penalties. Just with
if I could bet on one match to go to penalties, I think it would be this one.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Moving on, probably the game of the round of 16, without a doubt, to be honest. Saudi Arabia against South Korea. Two of the favorites before going into the tournament. Two of the big six, you could say. They're meeting up very early in the round of 16. I'll let you speak on this first, as the Saudi football expert.
Yeah. So I think going into this, both of the teams look quite shaky. I'd say Korea probably under a little bit more pressure, just with, again, the fact that they've got, easily one of, if not the best Asian player of all time. Who's a national icon. Again, when I was in Korea in September, and you could not avoid that man's face. He was advertising everything: toothpaste, convenience stores, phones, whatever you can imagine. There's a company in Korea that's paying Heung-min Son to promote it. And so I think there's a lot more pressure there for Korea, which could work in our advantage, but they just, I think, across the board from 1 to 11, they have better players. I worry about how some of our defenders, guys like Ronis Saloli, Hassan Kadish, how they're going to handle Korea's forward line. I think Ali Blahi needs to get, working his magic very, very early and getting Son's ear, especially after he's been complaining about people criticizing him online. As much as he's right, I think he's just not the kind of player that I think would put up well with just Ali Blahi. I mean, the fact that the man stepped up to Ronaldo and beat him, stepped up to Messi and beat him. I mean, not on his own, but I think that sort of personality makes differences for us in big games. I think the midfield battle will be really crucial. We've generally, as much as we've, not looked as good as I would have hoped going into the tournament, we've looked good in midfield, as you would expect the Mancini team to do so. I think those are the kind of games where the Saudi FA will be really happy that they picked a manager like Mancini, as much as I'm, for other reasons, I don't feel like he was necessarily the perfect appointment. I feel like sort of just with Saudi more generally, we've had like a lot of issues with, what's I gonna say? Just
creating chances.
Yeah, creating chances. Kind of linking up our, our forwards.
It's the link really between the midfield and the forward. It's just not there, is it?
Yeah, not at all. And I think you could potentially remedy that if you play Saddam a little bit further back. I don't know if his ego would allow for that, but that's a problem for Roberto Mancini to solve.
Well, so who do you think will win this game, as an unbiased fan?
I think it'll be close, but I mean, I just feel like Korea haven't played a team as good as Saudi yet. If Saudi, I think it'll largely depend on the first 20 minutes, basically. If Saudi can get set up, if they can get comfortable in the game, or stop Korea from getting comfortable, then they've got a real chance. But I think just if it's a battle of quality, I think Korea will come out ahead. And I also think that if Saudi want to win, they've got to win in 90 minutes. I think if we go to extra time, or even on top of extra time, I think if there's more than because we've seen a lot of very, very long stoppage time periods. I think even if we get like 10 or 15 minutes, like Korea did against Malaysia, we're gonna be toast. I mean, the same thing actually happened with Korea against Jordan, where watching that game, I'm basically, as soon as like 10 minutes or whatever went on the board, I knew
they're gonna get
Jordan
that
were toast.
goal.
Yeah. Their conditioning, and just kind of big game experience, I think will see them through. But look, as much as I know, we say unbiased. It's hard for me to remove myself from that headspace. If I had to pick, I'd say Saudi are winning 1-0.
We'll see. We'll see. Now, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. The best game of the round of 16, obviously.
Yeah,
That
no
battle
doubt.
between Son and Saad Abdul Hamid. He's been having a good
Yeah.
tournament so far. That's
Ooh.
something to look out for.
He is an
He
excellent
defended
player.
against Messi. He was really good against Messi.
Yeah.
Now let's see if we can catch Ronaldo, not Ronaldo, Heung-min Son actually.
Yeah.
If I had to predict a winner, I'd agree with you. I'd go with Saudi Arabia as well, but slightly, only slightly, just because
Yeah.
of Klinsmann and how much I hate him, So I hope he
Complete.
loses, and I hope he just leaves Asian football because I don't think someone like him is good for Asian football at all.
I don't think he's good for football anywhere, honestly.
Okay, so moving on to the other Asian giant, Japan and Bahrain.
Yep.
Now, I'm looking forward to this game. I'm going to attend this game, so I can't wait to be
Awesome.
there. Yeah, I am. I'm
Yeah.
going to Qatar in a few days.
Oh,
So yeah, I can't wait for this game. I hope Bahrain win,
yeah,
but it's going to be very difficult. Japan
yeah,
are going to start to beat themselves. I think they're going to turn up. They're going to get into first gear. Um, and I hope maybe off the counters of some set pieces, Bahrain can threaten Japan, but they have so much quality. I don't
yeah.
know. What do you think?
I think, look, at the end of the day, Bahrain are up against it. Again, if you look at it on paper, we've got guys in the squad who they have day jobs, they work in offices. And we're playing against teams, a team where they've got guys who play for Liverpool, and they've got guys who they play for Arsenal, and they've got players who they play in the German league, in Spain, like with Kubo. They've got some really, really excellent players. But I think just Japan have looked dire at times. Um, Bahrain also, another thing about our players, a lot of them have been around for a long time. And I think that kind of, just that veteran experience may be able to carry them past, um, you know, and allow them to exploit some of Japan's weaknesses. I think they looked better than I thought they would defensively. They made Korea really uncomfortable. Of course, see, in that Bahrain Korea game, I think something that's important to note is Bahrain had an advantage in the sense that they played, I can't remember even the name of the stadium, but it's that really old, terrible one that has a tiny little pitch. And so for a team like Korea, it's very hard for them to set up when they just don't have space.
You
And
just Hamad Stadium, the Assad
yeah,
Stadium, right? Yeah.
yeah, that's the one. And and that I don't think will exist for Bahrain in the Thamama Stadium, modern, lovely stadium like that.
World Cup Stadium.
Yeah. I think Bahrain it's another game where if they don't win in 90 minutes, then more or less they're toast just because
The
of,
experience that Japan
yeah,
have.
of the experience and the better conditioning, frankly. I mean, just the fact that, again, they're all professionals who play for full professionals who play for Japan.
Top leagues,
And,
yeah.
yeah, and in top leagues at that. So it's they're going to be up against it, but I don't think Bahrain are going to roll over.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy game for Japan at all. I think Japan are gonna. I think Bahrain are gonna fight till the very end, and it will make it interesting definitely. But Japan, I think, will still win this game. Unfortunately for Bahrain.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, the final round of 16 game is Iran against Syria. So news just came out that Omar Kharbin, Syria's hero, got injured in training and he's probably going to miss the game against Iran. So a big blow to Syria.
Massive.
Massive blow. Iran were already coming into this game as big favorites. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure. That's not really good news for them at all.
No.
I'll let you speak on this first. What do you think will
Sure.
happen? Do you think it'll be as easy as people are saying Iran will cruise through this?
Yeah,
or will Syria do show something?
I think Iran are just going to roll them over. Frankly, I mean, Syria they've looked really lethargic at times. I mean, they've got an old team. They're not the Syria that nearly made it to the World Cup, unfortunately.
They're missing their best player from that time as well, Omar Al-Soma. He's not there. Yeah,
which
I agree with you. Definitely. And for Iran as well, they've just had Azmoun and Taremi click together. And we know how dangerous that duo can be. Quddus showing some of his best performances. Moharrami was injured. He got an ACL, but there's still a good backup. Ramin Razan is still there. So this Iran team, I don't want to speak too soon, but they're looking really good. And I'm trying not to be as biased as possible, but honestly, I think this is probably our best chance in a long time to go all the way. So yeah, I hope it happens. A lot of these players are gonna have to. They won't be here for the next Asian Cup, so this is probably their last chance. But we'll see. I think Iran will win this game like 2 or 3-0, not more than that. And then rest some after they go ahead by 2 goals. They'll probably rest some players for their quarterfinal game.
I can't see it going any other way.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add? I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think that's us. I think this should be a really, really interesting tournament. I'm looking forward to, seeing how it develops as the stakes go up and up. As we get into some of these games, because we always seem to get. I feel like once you get into sort of the big quarters, even and then into the semis, you get some classics. In this tournament. So I'm just really looking forward to seeing how it all develops.
And we're already seeing some classics like Korea against Saudi. So great tournament from now already. Abdullah, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope we have you on again, maybe for something different, like something on the Saudi League. Maybe I'm sure you could help us on with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or anything.
Let me know.
I hope you have a good day. I'll be including Abdullah's socials in the description if you guys want to check him out.
If any of you want to see sorry to cut you off. If any of you want to see some really terrible takes on Saudi football and Newcastle United, my Twitter is Abu Saud 33_NUFC. That's ABU SAUD 33_NUFC. I'm not really doing anything else. Just again, have fun. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
I hope my input was, at least
definitely more than useful. Definitely more than useful. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. And look forward to speaking again sometime soon.
Yeah, have a good day, guys. Bye.
All right, you too, mate. Bye-bye.